Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of you. Please stay, don't go. Well, we're talking about European law, so I expected that. Hey, nice to see you. Nice to have you here. We're talking about European law, so I did not expect a crowd here, but maybe you can pick up some things. Where's the clicker, actually? Here it is. Okay. Okay, let's start off. I'm going to talk about the NIS2 and CER directives. This is European law for cyber resilience of critical infrastructure. My name is Manuel BOHE, and I'm a cybersecurity ambassador at the BSKI. That's the Federal Association of Protection on Critical Infrastructure in Germany. So let's jump right in. The EU NIS2, has any one of you heard of this before? No? No? Okay, the EU NIS2, that's a directive. If there's a NIS2, there must be a NIS1, I think that's clear. And if there's a NIS1, the NIS1 actually is the Network and Information Security Directive, has been. Today, the NIS2 is advanced to that. What we do have in Europe right now, it's just coming up, is the NIS2, and it defines the minimum cybersecurity standards on critical infrastructure within the European Union. The interesting thing is that looking at NIS2 from the perspective of NIS1, it expands the sectors dramatically. So while we had, it kind of six-fold the numbers of companies that provide critical services. So what we have right now is about, only in Germany, it's about 30,000 companies that it can identify with NIS2 right now. So from a market perspective, is any one of you suppliers or consultants or nothing like that? From Europe at the moment, because 30,000 alone in Germany need to comply to NIS2, and there's lots of work to be done, which I will show in a minute. Right. Another thing we do have great experience with penalties. You probably know the GDPR, and I know in Canada you have something quite similar. And in Europe, it's you have a penalty of up to 4% of your annual revenue if you don't comply to GDPR. Well, the idea of having the penalty bound to with a percentage to your revenues, it kind of works. It's a sharp sword, isn't it? This sharp sword was applied to NIS2 as well. So we have here 1.5 to 2% penalty if you do not comply to NIS2. So this is kind of a really strong reason to do some cybersecurity stuff, right? It's going to be it's a directive, a EU directive, which needs to be translated into local law. Each member state needs to integrate this law into his own country law, and this is going to happen until October 2024. I won't go in all the okay. Actually, we have 18 sectors in critical infrastructure according to NIS2, which is divided between essential entities and important entities. And what we do have, I'm sure you can't read all of that, but we have 11 sectors with high criticality, which are the classical ones like energy, water supply, wastewater, drinking water, but also banking, space, digital infrastructure, transport, and energy. And quite new are the important entities. These are 7 critical sectors that have been identified by the legislators, which is post and couriers, waste management, chemical industry, food research and manufacturing, digital providers. And I find this kind of interesting because when you say, okay, manufacturing is a critical entity, what's manufacturing anyway? Manufacturing can be anything, right? So it's difficult. So if a legislator comes out and says, okay, you are critical, you're a critical entity now, you really need to check if you are or if you're not. And that's the point. The NIS2 asks you to identify yourself or your company whether you are or you're not a critical entity according to the directive. So if you identify as such, you have to do some things. And there's lots of work to do. And actually, I don't want to read all this for you, but maybe you just let it sink in for a sec. And you will find out that what's on this list for NIS2 is actually the stuff that we all in the cybersecurity industry are preaching all the time that should be done. But in many situations, it just isn't. But if it's forced by law, things tend to get a little bit easier. When you look at it, you probably find out that there are some, that's very much is about management things. So of course, we'll look into information security management according to ISO 27000 series and business continuity management. You'll have these two high-level ideas, but with it, there come a lot of measures that needs to be implemented, as you know. All the controls you have in 27000 series, you need to implement when you want to comply to NIS2.